Hello to all my friends and family, and welcome to Jim's 5am Club. It's Wednesday morning tea time, about 10 o'clock. Christos Anesti to all my Greek Orthodox friends and Eastern Orthodox friends. And as you can see, it's an overcast day. It's been raining all morning. And we'll see where this day goes. Anyway, I've got a book summary to take you through, the second for today, and I need to pump out 5 a day now in order to get to my milestone of 1,000 vlogs by the 27th of May, which is my 61st birthday, God willing. And there's a number of book summaries that harp on the same sort of topic about happiness. And I think it's one of those topics that interests us all. And I never cease to learn something new when I read a book on happiness. And I guess it's a learned phenomenon for many of us. You can learn to be happy, you can learn to be happier, you can learn to be grateful, just like you can learn to be miserable and to be disempowered. So this book here takes a different sort of tact. It's called Happiness. It's entitled Happiness by Richard Layard. And we'll see what it's all about. And this book here is they claim to be a holistic book, taking a holistic approach to happiness. And the author kicks off the book with a quote where he suggests that competition for status is a zero-sum game, which is a great point, because at the end of the day, if I'm trying to exert my influence and status on other people, and they're doing the same thing, then it's a win-lose sort of transaction. So just trying to compete all the time with the people around us is so draining and so I guess painful in some ways, because if you're always trying to compete for attention and you're always trying to compete with those around you, then there are times where you'll be happy and other times where you'll be sad. So the author raises a point here which I wasn't quite aware of and I'm not sure of, so I'm still thinking about it. I haven't quite accepted it yet. But the author here says that from a scientific perspective, from a physiological perspective, our desire for happiness has evolved over time. And the reason for that, according to the author, is that we weren't always capable of being happy. It wasn't an emotion that was always there. But over time, what has enabled us to evolve, for those who believe in evolution, the author says that all of our decisions ultimately come down to whether the result makes us happier or not, or at least if it gives us the perception or the hope of whatever decision we make will make us happier or not. Because the author then goes on to say that over thousands of years, over a long, long time, our brains developed the ability to feel, to express happiness. So how does that work? How can scientists logically say something like that? Well, what they've been able to assess and come up with is that using ECG, where they map the brain and try and identify the brain, they look at the parts of the brain that light up when people are happy. And what they've been able to identify is that happiness comes from a part of the brain called the prefrontal cortex, which lights up the left side of the brain, where the neocortex sits. And it's this neocortex which is the new brain. Apparently we've got 3 stages of brain, or 3 levels of brain. We've got the reptilian part of the brain, which is the primitive brain, which is all of our instinctive sort of behaviours and our reactionary sort of responses to stimulus. We've got a middle part of the brain, which I've forgotten what it actually does. It may come to me throughout this vlog, but I doubt it. And we've also got the neocortex, which is the part of the brain which enables us to be logical, to be rational, and to think and do all those sorts of things. And scientists are of a belief that this neocortex is the latest stage of our human development. And for that reason, they say that our happiness is something that came later rather than earlier in our development. Which is interesting to think about and to I guess, contemplate. So the author then goes on to say that it's part of our survival. It's part of our survival. It's a survival tool. The fact that we seek happiness and try and express happiness and be a source of happiness is a part of our survival, because it enables us to make the best possible decision at a particular point in time in order to help us survive and create better outcomes for us, our children, our loved ones, and our communities. But the other thing that we learn is that beyond a certain threshold, more stimulus, more of anything, doesn't necessarily make you happier. And in fact, having too much of certain things actually makes you less happy. Now, you can get to a point where you've got too much money, you've got too much fortune and too much fame, where it ends up eating away at you and ruining your life rather than enhancing it and making you better. And I guess we've learnt over many experiences in our lives and seeing many people that money does not make you happy. It can make you comfortable, it can make you secure, but it doesn't generate or create happiness. And for some people, the more money they have, the more miserable and the more greedy they become. And from a numerical perspective, scientists have been able to come up with a number in Western worlds, or say for example Australia, and they say that after about $65,000 to $125,000, the more money you make makes little difference to your happiness, because all of the basic things that you need can be covered with that amount of money, unless of course you're trying to develop a deposit for a home here in Sydney, because house prices are going gangbusters, which is good for those who are, long in property, but for those who are not established in property, then it would cause them a bit of grief, I'd imagine. So, and the other thing is, regardless of how much money, I've never thought of this before, but he makes a good point. The author makes a great point. Regardless of how much money you have. And I remember hearing years ago that Kerry Packer had gone to Monaco with his multi-million-dollar yacht, this magnificent yacht, where in Australia it was just a super yacht. But he went to Monaco and he parked up his yacht and his yacht was one of the smallest ones there. So he wasn't able to impress anybody with his boat, which shows that regardless of how much money you have, there's always going to be somebody who's got more, who's got better toys, who's got bigger toys, who's got a prettier wife or prettier mistresses. There's always somebody who's going to outshine you. And what happens is that when you're in a circle of people who all have lots of money, then you end up becoming miserable by comparison, because you're saying, well, shit, I'm successful, I've achieved all these wonderful things, and I've got lots of people who look up to me. But when I compare myself to these boys and girls and other successful people, I don't even rate and don't even register on the radar. So the bottom line is that you're always going to have people who are wealthier and more popular than you are. There are always going to be people who are more handsome, more prettier, more sexier than what you are. So if you're comparing yourself and you're competing against other people, you're going to be involved, as the author said, in a zero-sum game where some will win, some will lose, but eventually there can only be one or two winners and people leapfrog each other. I just heard yesterday that Bill Gates, the second or third richest person in the world, is separating from his wife, and they're going to no doubt split up their fortunes. And just goes to show that even Bill Gates, regardless of how much money he has, was unable to save his marriage and to live happily ever after. And there's also a disease which comes with money. You end up becoming addicted to making money and to showing off and to expressing your wealth. So at the end of the day, what is more important for happiness is where you can focus on the things that really matter. And those things that really matter are the things such as family, health, friends, meaningful work, and meaningful projects. So a wonderful book. And the book finishes up with one more point where the authors kind of suggest, or the author suggests, that what people should be looking at doing and countries should be looking at doing is increasing their taxes, because by increasing their taxes on wealth, they end up making people happier, because they're able to redistribute the wealth amongst more people to get more people up to that level where they no longer have to worry about putting food on the table and having the basic necessities of life, and then being able to express their lives and to express themselves in a way which is empowering and creates happiness. Because by heavily taxing certain people, you make the chasing less attractive. You know, because I went to a seminar years ago where Paul Clitheroe was a presenter. It was on superannuation, and I remember him asking the audience, how much is really enough? And him telling people that everybody has a level, but nobody ever asks themselves, or nobody ever has the question asked, how much is enough for you? Because he says that for some people, enough is the pension. For other people, enough is to own your house and to have $50,000 a year of income. And yet for others, enough is to have $10 million and to have a lot of disposable income. And yet to others and to many people, because they never know what enough is for them, they just keep on chasing, and they are never ever happy. They've got all the toys, they've got the house, the real estate, the circle of friends, but they never get to spend time with them because they're too busy working and looking at their next project. Something to think about, a real powerful thing, because once you know what's enough for you, then automatically you will stop comparing yourself to others, because it becomes less of an issue, because the desire to compete and to be king of the castle is no longer the primary driver in your life. So we need to focus on the things that make us happy and to live a fulfilled life. And as we said, the source of joy for most of us is family, is our health, are our friends, and having meaningful work and meaningful projects, but having the time and the autonomy to do what you want with who you want for however long you want, and to live your years and make the most of the time you have available to you. So there you go, another journey of discovery that we've been able to share today. And thank you for joining me on this episode of Jim's 5am Club, where we've just gone through and learnt a few things from the book entitled Happiness from Richard Layard. And we'll finish off with a positive affirmation. I'm alive, I am well, I feel absolutely great. To my friends and family, stay connected, stay relevant, stay reasonable, and most importantly, let's find out how much is enough and stop competing and stop wasting our time trying to find happiness where it may not ever be, but to express happiness with what we've got, with who we're with, and what we've got available to us. We all have a different past, we all are going to have a different present, and we are all going to have most certainly a different future. So let's try and work together to make it better by sharing what we have and being appreciative and having gratitude for what we've got, and to be the wind beneath our wings, the wave beneath our board, the zephyr that billows our sail and flutters our flags, and also the turbines, the propellers that drive and push us in the direction that we need to go to stay on the right path, to enjoy our lives and to live the best possible life that we can and make the most of what we have available to us. Yasas Filakia from Jim's 5am Club, and I'll come to you again later on from a different location with a different message, because I need to do at least 3 more today to stay on track to hit my 1,000 vlogs in English over the next 24 days. Bye for now. Ketaleme. Ciao.